paywalls? Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The Democratic governor of Colorado is taking a lot of heat tonight for granting clemency to the last of Trump's allies still in prison for crimes related to trying to overturn the 2020 election. Tina Peters. She was serving a 9-year sentence, but today she admitted for the first time she messed up. Quote, I made a mistake 4 years ago. I misled the Secretary of State when allowing a person to gain access to county voting equipment. That was wrong. What's she talking about? Well, remember, Peters was tried and convicted of conspiring with other election deniers to breach her county's election systems in a 2021 municipal election, and with the hope of finding evidence that would prove Trump's baseless 2020 fraud claims. The president had been pressuring Governor Jared Polis for months to let her go. Here's how he defended the decision tonight.
She has very strange beliefs. She'll probably continue to have them. We don't punish people in this country for having strange beliefs. If you believe the earth's flat, you don't get, and you shouldn't get in our nation or my state, a harsher sentence than somebody believes that the earth is round. And that's what happened here because of her speech and what she believes, which I vehemently disagree with.
Yeah, this makes me incredibly furious because we have one party in my mind that is not worried about election integrity. That's the Republicans, unfortunately. The Democrats have to worry about it. For Jared Polis, who I served with in Congress, and this shocks me, by the way, for him to come on and say this is about somebody having a strange belief. No, this is about defending the integrity of the election system. She was found guilty and sentenced through a court of law. Now, he's going to say that somebody else with a similar crime got less of a sentence. Okay, if you want to go through all of the people that have been convicted, for instance, of robbery in Colorado, and then give everybody that's been convicted of robbery the least sentence of somebody, somebody may have gotten 5 months instead of 10 years, so now you're going to commute everybody to 5 months because we don't discriminate on this? I mean, it's insane. Jared Polis did this in my mind for one reason, because he's been pressured by Donald Trump. And that's it. And now he found a reason to do this. And again, to have a Democrat out there now not defending election integrity is really, really angering for me.
I mean, he denies that he did it for that reason. He, of course, heard what he had to say about it and thinking about the harshness of the crime. But if that's what you believe is the case here, then is this now one of many dominoes to fall if a governor is susceptible to that level of pressure?
Yeah, I mean, this is the point. One of the areas where we can still defend election integrity is at the state level. The federal government has no jurisdiction in that. What Jared Polis just told Donald Trump is pressure whatever governor you can, because eventually they'll relent. They'll come up with a good excuse and say that because she believes the earth is flat or something like that is why she got a harsh sentence. That's not really his decision. That's the decision of a court of law. And again, if you want to go through and say, okay, now somebody got 5 months for robbery, so now everybody that ever did a robbery in Colorado should be reduced to 5 months. That's the same logic. Doesn't make sense to me.
There's been blowback from Democrats and Republicans for this. Your Democratic AG called it mind-boggling and wrong as a matter of basic justice. The Mesa County Republican District Attorney who prosecuted her said it was misguided and misunderstood decision that undermines accountability and erodes confidence in the integrity system. The Clerks Association in Colorado said that they're furious, disgusted, and deeply disappointed by the reckless and dangerous message this sends. What message do you think it sends?
Well, first of all, I commuted the sentences of 9 people today. I pardoned 35. Tina Peters was not among those. The Attorney General and the prosecuting attorney from Mesa County were part of the prosecution, and there's something about prosecutorial pride. Prosecutors are seldom, if ever, satisfied by the commutations I make, and sometimes they're quite mad. What a commutation is effectively saying we're going to look at the sentence as a whole. Was it different than other people that committed the same crime? There was, in fact, another public official in Colorado convicted of 4 felonies. One was the exact same felony as Tina Peters, and she got 0 time in prison. She got probation only. Had Tina Peters gotten a year or 2 years or even 3, I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. But the reason we're here is because I fundamentally agree with the appeals court that the fact that she engages in speech and has beliefs that are far from the mainstream, incorrect, should not, in fact, be a basis for harsher sentencing. And 4.5 years instead of 9 years, that's what we adjusted it to, is frankly a tough but fair and defensible sentence for the crimes that she committed.
I just want to follow up on what you said about this having nothing to do with the 2020 election. For people who didn't follow this closely, Tina Peters did give Mike Lindell, who everyone knows is the My Pillow guy, her badge, basically, her someone else's security badge, so he could go in and access the Mesa County election system. And when this was happening, prosecutors said that she was fixated on voting problems after the 2020 election, and had questioned the accuracy of those. And
well, Caitlin, I just hate to interrupt you. This was related to the 2021 municipal election. In the 2020 election,
but
she
did she give Mike Lindell?
Biden won. Did
Mike Lindell get access to the election system or not?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She had 2 co-conspirators in the case. She illegally got one access to her after 2021. None of these crimes were in 2020. None of them had to do with President Trump's election. If they did, this would be a very different story, and we wouldn't be where we are. This had to do with a minor municipal election and software.
But it came after the President of the United States tried to overturn the 2020 election, and she was obviously a massive ally of his. And Mike Lindell, I mean, didn't come out of nowhere. He was also chief among those leading the 2020 election. So I just think saying that they're totally separated is not how people view this. You're speaking to her beliefs. She is somebody who probably, you'd have to ask her, believes in something happening with the 2020 election. Her crimes were not related to the actual election. She was county clerk. She certified Biden won. Trump happened to win her county. It's a conservative county. Her crimes were entirely related to the 2021 municipal election after ballots were counted. Nothing was compromised. She had 2 co-conspirators. They did everything as bad as she did. One got 6 months. One got probation only. And the unusual sentence for Tina, she had a poor defense. And as the appeals court with 3 Democratic appointed appeals justices found, she was ultimately punished for her beliefs and what she said rather than what she did.
Well, overall, I think this is the wrong decision, and it's a gross injustice to our elections, our democracy, and election officials across this country. And frankly, Tina Peters' actions has everything to do with the 2020 election. The governor is correct that she facilitated the compromising of voting equipment during 2021. But make no mistake, the intent of her work was to try to prove Trump's big lie. And Caitlin, just to clarify, Tina Peters did not let Mike Lindell into the voting equipment. There was someone else. But she did take the images of the voting equipment. Those were taken to Mike Lindell's cyber symposium, where they were supposedly going to prove once and for all how the election really was for Trump. Of course, it's a bunch of conspiracies. So I think overall, Tina Peters committed a crime. The judicial process should have been given the time to work out her sentencing. There was an active resentencing happening right now. And overall, this grant of clemency is the wrong message to send in a time when our democracy is in crisis.
In her statement, Tina Peters said, following this commutation, I misled the Secretary of State when allowing a person to gain access to county voting equipment. That was wrong. Going forward, I will make sure that my actions always follow the law. You are the Secretary of State. You were the Secretary of State when this happened. Do you believe her?
Absolutely not. This is someone who really basked in the celebrity of MAGA conspiracy-fueled craziness and used her actions to fuel lies and further disinformation about our elections. And those lies, those conspiracies have been used to attack elections and threaten election officials. I do not think that Tina Peters has shown remorse. I do believe in the judicial process. And as the governor said, the Court of Appeals did cite an issue with her sentencing and sent it back to the district court to resentence. Whatever that district court would have decided would have been fine. But I don't think that she should get special treatment. She has caused a lot of danger and damage in Colorado. But more than just that, this sends a message to Trump's followers that if they break the law, well, they might get off just fine. This sends a message to Donald Trump that if he retaliates hard enough, he'll be able to get a state to do his bidding. And this tells election officials that however hard we work, some people may just be above the law if they attack American democracy. That's a dangerous, dangerous message to send the country right now.
Okay, Saturday, 16 May, in the year of our Lord 2026. We've got John Case from her Colorado lawyer. The great John Case is going to join us here in a moment. Let's go to Tommy Robinson, the United Kingdom. Look at that. Isn't it magnificent? The United Kingdom rally, hundreds of thousands, not millions, there with Tommy Robinson and others. Peter McElveny is there. Karen Siegman is there. We can't really get, it's so hard to get internet. It's very difficult. We're going to try to get them up. Very difficult, but we'll just watch that. Incredible. Harnwell is going to join us from Rome later. We're going to dip in and out of the rally, maybe get a speaker or two. We're pretty jammed here, but always got time for Unite the Kingdom. And of course, remember, Starmer, you know, the great defenders, as King Charles was lecturing us when he was here, the great defenders of, you know, the Magna Carta and the beginning of liberty and our liberty, all of it blocked some prominent Americans from going over because they said, Starmer said, they're haters. They're haters. Anyway, there's the rally right there. Look at those flags of the United Kingdom and English flags, all of it. Just incredible. Patriotism, Unite the Kingdom. We're going to come back to that momentarily. Let me go to John Case. So, John Case, thank you to the President of the United States, and thank you to the governor. He did take a courageous stand. He's getting the old what for from the left. Just unbelievable. They're coming after him big time because he did the right thing. President of the United States had a huge hand in this. And it's not just the president talking to Polis, and I'm sure putting some pressure on him. It's really Polis wants to be run for president of the United States, understands he's got to get a bigger constituency than the fever swamps of the left. Jenna Griswold, John Case, what a piece of work. You guys have fought a great fight for Tina Peters, but I'm telling you, in Colorado, it's all crazy all the time. What'd she say? We're MAGA conspiracy-fueled madness. That's a good hook for the war room. I think we're going to get that into our cold open now. John Case, what do you got for us, brother?
Well, Steve, first of all, our hearts are filled with joy and gratitude to Governor Polis for commuting a sentence that the Court of Appeals found was illegal because it was imposed to punish Tina Peters for what she said about the corrupt voting system. What was left out of the Secretary of State and Governor Polis's statements is that Tina Peters was prosecuted because she brought a qualified witness into the room where the Secretary of State was erasing the election records of the 2020 election. They do this every 2 years on Dominion voting systems. The election happens in even-numbered years, and the following spring, Dominion comes in with the Secretary of State, and they erase all of the original digital records of the election. So they're gone. So the election can't be audited. And that is what Tina Peters found in 2021 when she brought in the qualified consultant who had federal security clearances. So the Secretary of State deleted the records. The court would not allow the jury to hear that election records were deleted by the Secretary of State and they were not allowed to see the federal law that requires those records to be preserved. So we're joyous that Tina's been released. I know people are concerned about her health and safety in the penitentiary until June 1. She was offered a chance to go to solitary confinement for her own protection, but she's now been housed with inmates on good behavior, and she feels safe there. And it's a small community, so she declined the invitation to go to solitary confinement.
John, hang on.
The war is not over.
Hang on. We're going to hold you through the break. We got a lot more to go through. The Tina Peters, the war is definitely not over. Very good day. Great job. The entire Tina Peters team. We had Apollo on last night. Peter Tickton from her federal team. Pat McSweeney, that entire crowd. The people working around her team, keeping the show going. A team effort, and a special thank you to the Commander-in-Chief and President of these United States.
People are being given 20 days to move their savings out of bank accounts just because of their political views. In fact, a conservative billionaire in Washington, who you know very well, was forced to transfer hundreds of millions of dollars. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. If they can debank billionaires for their politics, what's stopping them from doing the same to you? This is why I've always advocated for the one asset that can't be debanked: gold. Click below for a free info kit on gold IRAs from my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, while paper currencies and banking systems failed, gold has preserved wealth. Even billionaires are learning this lesson the hard way. Don't wait for your own 20-day notice. Click below for your free info kit on gold IRAs.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes in as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes.
My real true opinion is wholly words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And I did this to my father. We were at home. So we applied it to his under eye bags. And let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view. And now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. He calls me every single month saying, "Hey, Annette, I'm out of Plexiderm. Please send me more." And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. The way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger. This is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 1-800-854-0295.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, folks, the war in Iran, we have a 30-year treasury now at 5.1%. We had a very soft auction of 30-year treasuries. That's meaning people were sitting there going, I think I could be paid more to finance the U.S. government. The 10-year, which drives your personal financial life, is now 4.6, I think. It's over 4 or 5. What does that mean? Well, it means your financial life's going to change. Just going to happen. Now, Scott Bessent, the great Secretary of Treasury, who was a contributor here, said the other day that he believes disinflation, not deflation, totally different animal, bad. Disinflation is just over the horizon as this war gets sorted. But now more than ever, the central banks are buying gold at record rates. One thing we know is that the dollar is getting a little stronger because of the flight to quality and a safe harbor during a time of political crisis. However, it's not versus other fiat currencies you can judge gold, or you can judge the dollar, because it's really the world's tallest midget when you talk about that. It's against physical assets like, I don't know, real estate and gold. So particularly for first-time buyers, go to Bannon, Bannon, at 989898. Talk to Philip Patrick and the team. If you're a first-time buyer, you may qualify for up to a rebate of $10,000. But you got to get all the details from Philip Patrick and the team at Birch Gold. This is for first-time buyers. Or anybody can go here. Bannon at 989898. You get the ultimate guide for investing in gold and precious metals in the age of Trump. But talking to Philip Patrick, if you've not purchased before, for qualified purchase up to a $10,000 rebate. They want to get you into the mode of purchasing gold for your retirement, your savings, as a potential alternative and a hedge against times of, inflation. We're going to spend a lot of time breaking down the finances of the U.S. government in this financial situation on Monday, because you, the War Room Posse, must have the cutting edge information. I hate to say we're the ones that called this, but hey, we're the ones that called this, and now it's upon us, and it ain't going to be happy talk that gets rid of it. That's a reality. And you talk about all the wins. We're going to have Harrison on here, Brian Harrison from Texas. We're going to talk about, remember what happened when when this audience and Brian Harrison led the charge on a special session that was called, but had, the content was about, I guess, property tax, other thing, to force the redistricting in Texas on there, and then won. It's powered all the way through now, but people cannot forget what the grassroots did, and particularly this Paxton race, which I am concerned about, because Ken Paxton's got to beat John Cornyn. And John Cornyn spending now, I think, up to $120 million to destroy him. John Case, I just want to go back to something for a second. Tina Peters did this because in her she believed her fiduciary responsibility was to make sure that the Secretary of State, who is totally corrupt and completely incompetent, and in a essentially out of control, couldn't erase the evidence of the 2020 election. And for that, she went to prison, in a very dangerous prison, for a long time. Now, people are concerned. The governor, President Trump, been very involved in this. The governor has commuted her sentence, didn't pardon her, has commuted her sentence. Now, I want to go to her safety. What's the situation with safety here? Because people are this show more than others followed the last time she was essentially attacked in this, because this woman's prison has murderers. It has very bad hombres or hombrettes, maybe in this case, but it's a dangerous place. Is she in solitary confinement? She's opted that. She's still in general population, but now she's in a nicer area. And if she's in a nicer area, the audience's question is, why wasn't Tina Peters at 70 years old and a Gold Star mother in there for, even Polis said other people didn't get sentenced at all? Why was she not in this section of the prison to begin with, sir?
Great question, Steve. Well, she applied for that privilege 8 times and was turned down. It turned out that one person in the prison administration was controlling that decision and just kept rejecting her applications. And then recently, that person was on leave or transferred to another facility, and she was immediately admitted to what's called the incentive unit, which is where people on good behavior are placed. So she's happy there and will spend the next 2 weeks there until she's released on June 1. And the warden told her, if you have any problems threatening your safety, let me know personally immediately. And Tina agreed to do that.
Yeah, but in prison, it's not that. In prison, it's not that. It's just not that easy. Anyway, she is in a better unit, and hopefully people will be on top of this. We'll be on top of this. I know you will be, and Peter Tickton. The fight is, give me a minute or two on the fight is far from over, though. Tina will be released on a commutation of her sentence on 1 June, but there's also much more work to go on. I want to make sure people know briefly what that work is, what you guys are working on, and then how they can support you guys.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Steve. So we need to get her convictions reversed because we believe and have always believed that she was unjustly convicted because the jury was not properly instructed and she wasn't allowed to present evidence in the case. She wasn't allowed to present a complete defense, which is your right under the due process clause of the U.S. and Colorado constitutions. So we need to get her convictions reversed. That involves petitioning first the Colorado Supreme Court for a writ of certiorari to review the decision of the Court of Appeals. We'll file that petition next Thursday, May the 21st. And then if that fails, then we'll be applying for the same writ from the U.S. Supreme Court. So those are the legal proceedings involved. Many of the lawyers on the team haven't been paid in several months, and it takes money to fund these things. So we appreciate all your contributions, which you can make at tinapeters.us. But the bigger fight is for free speech and fair elections. So that's what Tina's going to undertake when she's released. And that's important because it affects everybody's rights. You want to be able to speak freely, and you want your vote to be counted honestly and transparently so that elections are auditable. They can be recounted if necessary. Well, with these computer systems, the black box tells you who won and you have to accept it. There's no auditing what happened because it's a mystery what happens inside the black boxes. So we need to get rid of the machines and go back to hand counting the way most of the modern world counts votes in elections. And so if you can help with that, go to tinapeters.us. That's tinapeters.us. You can find all the latest information on her case and on her health. And you can read the governor's letter in which he commuted her sentence. And you can find the latest information, and you can also contribute, which we appreciate very much. She asked me to thank all of her supporters for your prayers. They've been answered for her freedom and her health. So again, our hearts are full of gratitude and joy that she's going to be released on June 1.
One of the most courageous people I've ever met. To live in that hellhole, you have no idea what hellholes these prisons are. And I was in a low security, right? Tina Peters is in a high security prison because they put all the murderers that were in there. That is a hellhole, and it was done to intimidate. Knowing that 8 times she applied to go to the part of the prison that has more of the white-collar people, et cetera, where they normally segregate away from the general population that are the really bad hombres that have done violent crimes, that have done murders, that have been associated. They kept her in there to break her. Always remember that. And remember this audience and everybody associated with this, that is going to be your fate too. If these Marxists take over, you see, look at Jenna Griswold right there. That ugly mug sitting there saying, oh, she should serve out the time. Jenna Griswold, your day will come, ma'am. We will turn the tables and your day will come. We're going to get to the bottom of the 2020 of what happened and what you did. And to know that the people of Colorado, even considering you for higher office, is a disgrace and a black mark upon a great state, one of the greatest states in this country, the state of Colorado. So, John, as you know, we're all in and down hard on this. So look forward to having you back, sir. One more time, where do people go if they want to contribute?
tinapeters.us. And thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, sir. Voting day in Louisiana. Also, Cassidy's on the ballot, not a fan of President Trump, and President Trump understands this. Make sure you go if you're in Louisiana, you're out voting day. Let's play. We got a clip from Brian Harris. I got about a minute on this side, and then Brian's going to stick around. Let's go ahead and play it.
Moves the House adjourned pending the reading and referral of bills and receipt of messages until 10 a.m. on Monday. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The House stands adjourned pending the reading and referral of bills and receipt of messages.
So, Harrison, this is about the Democrats that ran away. Please tell me, all their parking spots are gone. Their free lunches are gone. Their place in the cafeteria are gone. Their offices are moved. They've been thrown off committees. They are actually thrown out of this Texas legislature. All of that happened, right? So when you guys wrapped up, all of that's done, as you said, had to be done, sir?
Well, cut them some slack, Steve. I mean, it's only been 286 days until since the Democrats fled the state. And as that video showed, they didn't just sneak out the back door. No. Over my loud objection, the mics could barely pick it out. I don't know if you could hear it. I screamed, "Object." Our fake Republican, rhino Democrat elected speaker literally had the Democrats. We were on the floor. We were in the House. The doors were closed. We had the new congressional redistricting maps. They had been filed. All he had to do was close the doors and keep them there. What's called a call to the House. It can be done easily. No. He helped the Democrats. He aided and abetted the Democrats. He let them get a jump start fleeing the state by releasing them to flee into the arms of Hakeem Jeffries, who, I'm not joking, had flown down to Texas to meet with the Democrats. So that video was the start 280-something days ago of the Democrat quorum break. And I wish, Steve, I could tell you that all those things had happened, but no. They still chair powerful committees, including committees that write the budget in the state of Texas. Okay, they're still surviving.
Hang on. Stick around. We're going to take a short break. I want to hear it all. We want to bathe in this today.
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
Pam lost weight. Must be on the fat shop drugs.
Ugh, she looks amazing.
Girls, of course it's weight loss shots. She's never been able to lose weight before.
But wait, she has energy, and she doesn't have that saggy weight loss face.
It's not the shots or a crash diet. It's Almacet, the natural superfood protein shake that lets you lose weight in a healthy way. Forget shots. Did you know that research shows that most people drop off popular weight loss diets in a year and gain the weight back? Worse yet, they lost lean muscle and zapped their metabolism. With Almacet, you can maintain 100% of your muscle mass.
I dropped the weight, but I didn't lose the muscle mass. That was very important.
Lose up to 2 dress sizes in 6 weeks.
I had lost 45 pounds. I say it's a miracle in a can.
I went from a size 18 to a size 8.
The reason why you're having trouble losing weight could be a liver clogged with fat. Almacet is a scientifically proven food supplement that uses natural amino acids to help unclog your liver and optimize your metabolism, so it's easier to lose weight.
Almacet helps you have younger looking skin and hair with amino acids your body needs to build collagen naturally.
I feel better, my skin's healthier, my hair's better.
I went from 260 pounds to 175. I wasn't hungry. It made me feel full. There was no side effects.
Almacet naturally reduces the hunger hormone, so you feel full and eat less. Go to almacet.com now to get started for just $39.99. That's $4 a meal.
It was Almacet, not the fat shots? Mind blown.
Almacet is not a substitute for prescription medicines and is not intended to treat any condition associated with GLP-1 therapy. See scientific studies supporting our claims at almacet.com/research.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
Okay, right there you see the streets of London. London has not fallen. Tommy Robinson and Unite the Kingdom in the streets today. Massive crowds. Glenn Beck, one of our partners on the Prop 10 in Texas, the prohibiting Sharia law that was so overwhelmingly successful, he was one of the speakers. I think we're going to try to get his speech. I can't get it today. We're going to play it on Monday, at least part of it. Peter McElveen is there. Karen Sigmund there. Others that were associated with this Texas movement. So I want to thank everybody. Just amazing, amazing crowd. Look at that turnout. They're just not going to let the country be stolen. Should be a lesson for everybody. Grassroots is not going to let that happen. I want to go back to Brian Harrison. Brian, you just got to go back in time because this is it's a massive grassroots victory. It showed the establishment were not prepared to fight. In fact, they're part of the problem. But what you and the Texas grassroots did in last summer initiated the momentum and the enthusiasm that is carried all the way through the Prop 10, Paxton's great showing in the primary, all the victories are had there, but particularly throughout the rest of the country. This is why we're going to pick up at least a net 10 seats on redistricting because of the fight of you guys. I just want to make sure people understand this. The odds, although it was thrown into the special, not the regular session, a special session, there was no heat on this thing. There was just going to come and go. And you saw this when the Democrats left. The establishment, I mean, you came on here every day, morning and afternoon. It was amazing. The Texas grassroots are amazing. They just need a little leadership and let people know you're fighting. But you would come and mock guys and say they haven't taken away their parking spots. They haven't taken away their seats in the cafeteria for lunch. Nothing. And I take it now they've made that formal.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the Capitol the other day driving to go to my office there, and I couldn't even take the primo parking spots because those are still reserved for the Democrats that, yes, have massive seniority in the Texas House. So I was relegated to my parking spot, way down in the basement, right? So no, the Texas Democrats, they still have their parking spots. They've still got their cafeteria passes. They got all their checks. They got all their money. They haven't been forced to pay any fines. There is some bad, really bad kabuki theater. Some of our Rhino speaker's Democrat buddies are like trying to, help him out, throwing him a bone, being like, well, because he knows he can't go into next year being like, well, you didn't punish the Democrats. So some of the Democrats, his buddies, are like voluntarily paying the fines that all the House leadership did. They voted the other day to reduce the fines, and a couple of them are voluntarily throwing a few bucks and go, oh no, look how punished we are. It's all bad theater. But no, the governor of the state of Texas made a famous promise 200-something days ago. If those Democrats don't show up by 3 o'clock, I'm going to vacate their seats. Well, the Supreme Court just put an end to that bad kabuki theater and said, are you kidding? Why are you throwing this hot potato to us? You guys have the political tools to deal with it. The governor didn't do it. And by the way, he could have. If the governor and his team watching, you could still do this right now. All you got to do is say, this is what I would do if I were governor. I, Governor of Texas, under the authority vested in me by the Constitution of the state of Texas, do hereby pledge to veto any piece of legislation that has the name of any Democrat who was derelict in their duty and fled the state to break a constitutional quorum. That would get their attention. That'd be hardball because the next 4 years they couldn't pass a bill. The speaker has all these same tools, but no, our speaker was elected by the Democrats. He works for the Democrats. He released the Democrats to break quorum, and he brought them back without punishment. Democrats still chair committees in the state of Texas, powerful ones. They co-chair every single committee in the Texas House. A Barack Obama lawyer is still the most powerful staffer to the speaker, the House parliamentarian. He just waves his pen like a wand and kills any conservative bill or amendment that he wants. That is the case. They have not been punished. And here's the reality. Republicans in name only run the show down here in Austin. Every conservative victory, and the posse's been a huge part of this, that we have achieved, whether stopping the Texas government from funding so much on transgender indoctrination or facilitating illegal immigrations and the H-1B stuff or DEI or getting rid of the transgender advocating president of Texas A&M. Those have all come from the conservative grassroots. If we're going to save Texas and America, it is not going to come from the liberal special interest in the top down that control Washington and Austin. It's going to come from grassroots patriots like the viewers of the posse, like the millions of people who melted the phone lines of our governor, lieutenant governor, speaker last year and said, you get this redistricting done. I firmly believe that if the liberal establishment in Austin had wanted to do redistricting, it would have been done during the regular session. And if not then, they would have used the political tools that even the Supreme Court, when they slapped down our governor's ridiculous request for the judges to solve the problem for him and kick out and vacate these chairs, right? Because not one single member has been vacated. And the Supreme Court mocked him basically and said, you guys, and especially in the House, the Speaker of the House, you didn't use any of the political tools. They said you didn't even scratch the surface of the political tools. And to your point, Steve, taking away their parking spots, I don't even think that would have scratched the surface, but it would have been more than we've done today. So no, Democrats continue to control the Texas House. That's the bad news. Democrats wield massive power in the Republican-dominated Texas government. But the good news is patriotic Texans and Americans are having their eyes open like never before. And when they hold their elected officials' feet to the fire, that's when we achieve massive conservative victories, just like this redistricting battle a year ago.
No, and what happened in the primary, here's my concern. I'm concerned about this Paxton race because now I think the number's up to 120 million. You're getting on 120 million. The new wave of ads is even worse than the first wave. It's not policy. It's all about Ken Paxton's terrible. And I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about an energized group of Democrats down in Texas. They're flooding the zone down there with money. They see opportunities in Texas. They got the Working Family Party. They've essentially copied the Warren posse and the precinct strategy and the turning point in the Trump base, voter contact, grassroots knocking on doors. They're energized because they understand the midterms for them means the end of Trump, sir.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I'll tell you in Texas, and I hate that I have to say this on national television, the Democrats are more energized and more organized than I've ever seen them in Texas, at least in a very long time. And in fact, they are on offense in every single, yes, you mentioned one of the high profile ones at the Senate race, but like every state and federal race, the Democrats are on offense. They found a candidate for, and no matter how safe, how red the seat was, they fielded a Democrat. They're funding the Democrats. They're organizing a ground game in every single state and federal office in the state of Texas. And by the way, I can't say the same for the Republican Party of Texas. That's just not true. We have many Democrats that are running uncontested, but there's no Republican, state or federal, that's running in an uncontested because the Democrats are organized. They're energized. They had a big victory and big upset victory in Tarrant County in a Texas Senate race that they should have gotten demolished in, but they won by a massive margin. The Democrats are excited. They're organized and they're pouring massive amounts of money. And back to the Republicans, because you mentioned the primaries, let me give a word of advice to my fellow Republicans, elected officers in the state of Texas, or people who want Republicans to win in the midterms. The way you lose in midterms is by being weak and liberal and acting like the Democrats, or like a light version, a weak version of what the Democrats have on offer. Stop doing that. The Senate race, John Cornyn wouldn't be in a fight for his political life if he hadn't done things like, I don't know, support red flag laws and being weak on core Republican values like the right to keep and bear arms and on the Second Amendment. The way we win at the ballot box, the conventional wisdom in Washington and Austin is all wrong. It's not by watering down what we believe. It's by doubling down on the principles that made our state and our country great. Low taxes, low regulation, maximum individual liberty, secure borders, fighting illegal immigration, making America and making Texas as prosperous as we can be by allowing our kids and protecting the blessings of prosperity that liberty and individual freedom bring. So don't be weak as if that, because that's what the Democrats and the media want you to believe. Republicans, sell out your values, sell out your voters. That's how you win elections, knowing the exact opposite is true because you're going to demoralize your Republican base. Republican and conservative voters need a reason to go out. They need a reason to get to the polls. And I believe there is no greater motivator to go to the ballot box than understanding you've got a chance to elect Republicans, and that if you're electing Republicans that are going to stand firm and fight the swamp, fight the media, fight the Democrats, those are the people that Republicans will take time out of their day, go to the polls, because they will know that by doing that action, they're doing a small part to protect freedom and liberty for their kids and their grandkids. So be bold. Stop listening to the media. That's what we got to do to win in the midterms. And there's reason to be concerned right now, Steve.
Early voting starts on Monday, I believe, in Texas for this runoff, Brian. This week.
It starts this week. We're here. It's time to start voting. Yeah.
We're going to cover it wall to wall. Brian Harrison, you are your Twitter feed is not appreciated by the power structure in Austin. It's not appreciated. That's exactly why every War Room Posse member should go right now, totally free, and sign up and follow Brian Harrison. Where they go, sir?
Yeah, go at Brian E. Harrison on X. Do your small civic. If you want to do one thing today to piss off a rhino, go to social media, go to X at Brian E. Harrison. Like, follow, subscribe, share. We've got a newsletter you can sign up for there. If you want the truth about what's going on in the greatest state and the greatest country in the world, that's Texas. The mainstream media is not going to give it to you. The Texas-based media isn't going to give it to you. I'm living the battles on the front lines, and the way we're going to save our state is by getting the grassroots to hold their elected officials' feet to the fire. That's how we save Texas. That's how we save the nation. And that's how we save the world. At Brian E. Harrison on X. Please go at Brian E. Harrison on X and give us a follow.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next week. Let's go to Nebraska. Eric Underwood, the former head of the GOP. Eric, we had a big grassroots victory, particularly where it counts. Secretary of State, walk us through what's happening in Nebraska, sir.
Well, thanks, Steve, for having us on. And Nebraska is leading in a unique way, very similar to what we're talking about in Texas. The similarity is it's very interesting to hear a red state have the same problems as Nebraska. The unique thing that's in Nebraska is because we only have one legislative body, we don't have to be fighting two-front battle there of trying to get people elected. Then you start to look at those singular positions, and the easiest fruit this year to pick off the branch was the Secretary of State's race. And when you start to think about what changes can occur, especially in our elections, this was one of the most fundamental changes that had to happen in the state of Nebraska, and it's sending shockwaves through the establishment going, how did this happen? And the interesting thing is that most people think that they can spend a lot of time in the party, at the local, the county, and the statewide races. Grassroots, we put a lot of energy into the governance of those. But what we don't seem to focus on specifically is one objective. And this last 2 months, as Scott Peterson entered the race for Secretary of State to go against an 8-year incumbent going for his 3rd term, Scott Peterson put principles on the ballot. His race became very singular, or at least pretty much singular-minded when it came to election security, election protection. It's a national message, which fits well, and that's what a lot of the consulting companies, especially those that have been controlling national policy, have been a dismissive mindset. They'll throw it onto a palm card. They'll mail 13 times into a single person's household about one message. But in the end, the people across the country, the people of Nebraska, when they say who's the party, the politicals like to point back to the county parties and state parties and say, look at how they're acting, especially if they're becoming grassroots. The people are going, but the elected officials are the party. And when they don't do what they say they're going to do, or they don't even listen to us, and then expect us to somehow assemble and show up to all the committee hearings or do our local races and go to those local committees, and they blame us for losses to the Democrats, there comes a point where they decided to push back. And in Nebraska, the Secretary of State's race, where Scott Peterson and his team went very direct, and it was a 10-point win. Talk about a basically showing that we're done with the BS. Scott Peterson's race became a defining point in Nebraska's politics because the establishment was not expecting it. The consulting companies have not been understanding. There's a few new consulting companies coming into Nebraska that have finally changed the messaging. But Nebraska politics and the grassroots have been very archaic. They just think we can mail it out there. What's happening now is because we took over the party in 2022, it's taken 4 years, but something like this could happen. And now you have new consulting companies coming in, those that actually are younger, that believe in, as you said, the precinct model, the turning point model, all of those where you connect to the voters. And elected officials, they don't know what to do with all this messaging. And that's my biggest point, and to mirror what Brian was talking about in Texas. We have to go to the door. You have to go to the door to represent your principles, and even more so maybe a candidate such as Scott was for Secretary of State. Yeah. But that's why we formed Advocates for All Nebraska.
Eric, hang on 1 second. I want to get to this after a short commercial break. Natalie Winters, Sam Tannenhouse also going to join us.
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner. We drink it, we bathe in it. Think water, think steam, think clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5.
It's an all-in-one product, so I can use it throughout my entire house.
It's cleaning, it's sanitizing. There's no chemicals in it. It's just steam.
This is unbelievable. There is no more odor.
5 minutes, I'm done. Look at that, it's amazing.
If you're ready to step into an effective, economical, and eco-safe world of cleaning, look no further than the H2O X5. Using just the power of superheated water, the X5 Super Hot Steam cleans and kills up to 99% 100% of germs, viruses, and bacteria. You could spend over $500 to purchase the products that the X5 5-in-1 Miracle replaces. But through this special TV offer, you won't spend $400, $300, or even $200. Order your H2O X5 steam cleaning system, a $500 value, for just 4 easy payments of $43. You'll get the X5 steam mop with microfiber pad, the carpet glider, the handheld scrubber, the window glass and mirror attachment, and the garment and upholstery bonnet. It's a complete 10-piece system, all this for just 4 easy payments of $43. But it gets even better. Order now and we'll upgrade your X5 package. We'll add a 6th mode with a dusting and polishing wand. Valued at over $30, this extra bonus attachment makes your H2O X5 the H2O X6. That means your 10-piece system becomes a 12-piece system at no extra cost to you. If after 30 days you're not absolutely delighted, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Don't wait. Now's your chance to own the X5 for just 4 easy payments, and we'll make the first payment for you. You get the X5 incredible 5-in-1 lightweight, powerful 12-piece steam cleaning system, a $500 value, all for just 3 easy payments of $43. This offer can't last forever, so call or click right now.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, Birch Gold. Text Bannon, B-A-N-N-O-N at 989898. You get the ultimate guide, totally free. No obligation for investing in gold and precious metals. The age of Trump also talks about your 401k, IRA, how you do tax deferred, roll it over, all of it. You need to talk to Philip Patrick team. If you are a first-time buyer, if you've never done this, you've never invested in gold, subject to a qualifying purchase of which Philip Patrick team will tell you it's up to a potential $10,000 rebate. You got to get all the details from the Birch Gold team. Check it out today. Understand why central banks are buying gold at record rates. Why is that? I don't know. They're going to tell you. I think it has something to do with fiat currency and wanting to have at least a little cover. The central banks. Unbelievable. Also, Patriot Mobile 972 Patriot, a company based upon Christian values. Glenn's story and Jenny's story and the team. It's amazing. It's in Texas. You're going to talk to somebody with a East Texas accent. They're going to tell you why they're the best phone service in the world. They support the causes you support. In fact, we hadn't had Patriot Mobile down in Texas, I don't think any of this would have happened. All the positive stuff. Eric Underwood, what are the lessons? Hit rewind there for a second about going to the door. That's a great phrase, going to the door. This is about voter contact. The Democrats understand. That's what Harrison's just talking about. The Working Family Party and DSA, Mandami and all that. It's off the Obama model. Trying to copy the Trump model, which is precinct strategy engagement. Why are the lessons in Nebraska appropriate for the rest of the country? Grassroots effort, sir.
Because at this point, if you don't do this, if the patriots and the grassroots don't go to the doors and connect either the candidate and those principles, whereas we're doing with petitions in Nebraska, we have petitions for a hand count ballot petition and the winner take all petition. If you don't go to the door and connect to those voters on the principles, the Democrats will. Or even worse, that voter stays home. We are in a losing math game, even though we have the numbers. And the problem is the losing comes from weak Republicans that don't do what they say they're going to do. Or even worse, are trying to distance themselves, keep a little distance from association to President Trump until the midterms hit, because they believe President Trump will then become bad for Republican business, and America First will be bad for Republican business, and the moderation will come in. And with moderation comes incrementalism, and the consultants love that, because then you can make more money off of every campaign. The grassroots have one way to gain political leverage. And Charlie Kirk told me this in person when he was sitting in my restaurant. Political influence comes from political leverage. The consultants and they have the titles and the money, but the grassroots have the people and the principles. You have to go to the door. If you do it by petition, you can start now connecting to those people, building the relationships, and then backfill with, and here's a candidate that matches those same principles. That's what we're doing in Nebraska. And if we don't, the Democrats are going to win the midterm, and they're going to change just enough that the Republican consultants and those that are, I mean, in Nebraska, I have the largest consulting company running the show for the last decade. And we took them out in 2022. And this is the result. The grassroots persisted, kept going, connecting to the people on their principles. And now we can move forward with a strong position, such as the Secretary of State. You have to go to the door, and you have to connect to people on their principles.
I want people to know where to contact you. Where they go today, sir?
You can go to my Twitter feed, which is at 2022 Neb Maverick. I also have a Substack at Eric Underwood 2. And our petition drive is being run by a 501c4 that we created called Advocates for All Nebraskans. This scenario is where you can reach out, and I want to help people across the country. I've helped so many state parties and county parties get built up. We want to help build up how we connect to the door. It's not just with candidates. It can be done by petitions. And once the elected officials who make laws realize that the people start to circumvent their ability to make laws and actually do it without them, that's when the true political leverage will come in. So this is where we've changed both facets. We get strong people in like Scott Peterson for Secretary of State, and we fix our elections, and we do laws that will actually help and impact. Or as I have a new slogan, make Nebraska even better. Once you make things better, people will stick with that party.
Eric Underwood, I want to thank you. Magnificent. I want everybody to go to your social media and to your site today. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And the folks in Nebraska, the precinct strategy, are fighting hard. Took over the party.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, brother. I want to duly note that if you look over the last week, these fights we've had on these unconstitutional seats, flipping them, these are red states, folks. Texas is a red state. The huge fight there. Nebraska's a red state. South Carolina, all you doing a great job to get to McMaster's, red state. Louisiana, red state. Alabama, red state. Mississippi, red. Not just red states. These are the reddest states in the union. And what we spent the last 2 weeks on, fights between the grassroots and the Republican establishment, because they're not really conservatives. They are the controlled opposition of the ruling class that rules this country. Nothing could be plainer. What'd the French poet say that lost his life in the opening days of World War I? The most important thing is to see what you see. To see what you see. And you see in these red states and the fights, and good, we're going to leave nine seats on the table. 9. Going to leave 9 table. Maybe only 8 because it's a situation in South Carolina. But think of the fight you've had to head. And hey, I'd like to say, to wish it away, but you're not going to wish it away. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to come back. Natalie Winters is going to join us. Talking about see what you see. Remember, Natalie did a tour of Asia last year. Then she was invited back. She did a one-on-one with the vice president of Taiwan. It was an incredible interview. She's going to join us because of this, the trip that took place with the President of the United States. We're going to play some clips. I guess his interview with Brett Baer. Anyway, we've got to get our arms around this. The Chinese Communist Party is not a peer competitor. They're not a partner. They're not going to be a strategic partner. They are a flat-out cold enemy of Lao Beijing, the Chinese people. They're an enemy of citizens of the United States, and they are enemies of the United States of America. The coldest blooded murdering thugs alive today on planet Earth is the senior level cadre that runs the Chinese Communist Party and runs China. Short commercial break. Back with Natalie Winters in a moment.
We need help from the boss.
250 years ago, ordinary men and women did something extraordinary. They stood up. They spoke out. They chose freedom. They didn't know what the future would hold, only that it was worth fighting for. And now, that future is ours. At 250 years strong, America stands at a crossroads once again. Not defined by politicians or headlines, but by the character and courage of her people. That's why millions have joined AMAC. Not just for benefits, but to be part of something greater. A voice for freedom. A force for truth. A movement of Americans who still believe in this country and are willing to stand up for it. As we celebrate 250 years of liberty, we're not just honoring the past, we're shaping the next 50 years together. Join AMAC. Stand for freedom. Be part of America's next chapter.
January 7th of 2021, they said the MAGA movement was dead. We were told that this was never going to happen, that the Democrat Party was immovable, and what we witnessed on November the 5th, being this great comeback story, was also the result of the hard work that all of you guys did in the grassroots. For those of you that chased ballots, for those of you that registered voters, this is your victory. But it is only going to improve if we stay engaged in the grassroots, if we continue to knock on doors.
Turning Point PAC is fulfilling Charlie's dream by funding an army of ballot chasers to secure victory in November. Go to tprav.com to donate today and fund ballot chasers in this critical election.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish, in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, Unite the Kingdom. It's Saturday, 16 May, Year of our Lord 2026. Right there, you see the Unite the Kingdom rally, massive rally. Tommy Robinson's second. Had one last year also. Look at this. Incredible. Incredible. Massive crowds, great speakers. Of course, they banned Starmer's government, banned after being lectured by the king of how our liberties are all predicated upon what the rules. The last time I looked at Magna Carta, I thought that was the nobles grabbing his forefathers and saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. They didn't want to give it up. They were ordered to give it up. Now they're not even letting the Americans go over and participate. But it is what it is until you change it. We're going to have more on Tina Peters a little later, particularly how you can go support her. She's out on the 1st with a commutation. Voting today in Louisiana. Early voting Monday for Ken Paxton in this incredibly important Senate runoff. Okay. I want to bring in Natalie Winters. Natalie, you had the great honor, and it's because of your coverage and your single-handed focus, I would almost say maniacal focus, on the unrestricted warfare of the Chinese Communist Party against the United States of America, but also Lao Beijing. You were invited and gave an incredible interview with the vice president of Taiwan. Given I wanted to wait till it all settled in and everybody was back, your observations of what occurred over the last couple of days in Beijing, ma'am.
Well, always an honor to be in the war room, though I guess if we were to let Xi Jinping rename the show, he would probably call it the strategic stability room, because that is now the new euphemism for war, as we've heard in Beijing. There's so much to unpack. I think if you go back to some of these seminal texts that guide CCP thought, whether it's military, economics, all of that, of course, being cut from the same cloth. Just remember that all warfare is deception, to quote Sun Tzu, and that they are not our friend, they are not our partner. I think to call them our rival is even an understatement. They are our existential threat and our enemy. And frankly, I think I share some of the, probably, I don't want to use the word concern, but there's sort of an unnerving aspect, I think, to what transpired in Beijing. I don't think the United States at the highest levels of the CCP has ever been talked to like that. Of course, we've seen the advent of wolf warrior diplomacy. Some of these younger, more junior guys remember berating Biden apparatchiks. And they just took it. But coming from Xi Jinping talking about the Thucydides trap, stuff like that, really is an escalation. I also think that it's important to contextualize this, right? A lot of focus has been put, and rightly so, on the Chinese readouts, comparing that to the United States, which we'll get into the language. For the Chinese, they really appreciate and care about language, not that we don't, but it really holds deeper significance there. But if you compare and contrast this to the readout, back in Trump 1, the type of language that is being used is so wholly disparate. It's quite jarring. Back in 2017, it was, we're going to, quote, expand fields of mutually beneficial cooperation. We're going to, quote, control differences, deepen mutual understanding, enhance mutual trust, and build a, quote, sound working relationship. The most important thing there, and this is something that you heard regurgitated from virtually every PRC or CCP mouthpiece, de facto or de jure, and it was that they would, quote, not take the old path of big powers which seek hegemony once they grow strong, right? The idea that China's not a threat, they want to just exist. They would probably posit in a unipolar world order whereby the United States is the top global hegemon. We have maintained on this show, much like the origins of COVID, much like the PRC's takeover of this country, the purchases of farmland, you name it, but that's not the case. They want their own version of a unipolar world order whereby they are the top dog. They're not even content with a multipolar world order. And I think you see this on full display with the language that they're using, talking about how we are partners, not rivals, this new concept of strategic stability and a, quote, transformation that we have not seen in a century. And if you read Chinese state media, Xinhua says the two sides stand at, quote, a new historical starting point. And of course, I think this is the most direct you've seen the Taiwan issue mentioned, not just by the press, but by Xi Jinping, CCP spokespeople themselves. And I think a lot of people are honing in on the insult that was the Thucydides trap line, which I wanted to contextualize that. I will say, I think hat tip to our audience watching a lot of the Western press try to, understand or reconcile what was going on over there. You have Fox News, taking people on a tour of the subway system. Our audience has known about the Thucydides trap for years. But I think what was equally insulting, frankly, directly to this audience, almost laughing, spitting in our face, was saying that, Shiism, the CCP can work, and I quote, hand in hand with MAGA. Particularly, I think, preying on President Trump's kind of anti-war instinct and trying to misappropriate that to the Taiwan issue. Of course, they love that we're in these prolonged, engagements, whether it's Ukraine, the Middle East, take your pick. But I find that extremely insulting and just outlandish. And if anything, having spent considerable time in Taiwan, it's more the Taiwanese people that have a lot in common with MAGA, not just because they're on the front lines of the Chinese Communist Party, but they really care about, you see a whole civil society, civil defense kind of surging and forming in reaction to the increasing aggression and belligerence of the Chinese Communist Party. They're very grassroots, very of the mindset of personal responsibility, and they love America. So I think that is, psychological and cognitive warfare at its absolute finest. And to link this to what you were talking about with the, Islamic takeover of Texas, they like to say Islam is, peace. We know it really means submission to a way of life life that's wholly different from the United States. You know, you got Lululemon making hijabs now. Don't buy Lululemon anymore. But that's in the same way that, you know, I think Beijing defines Taiwan peace as being submissive to a new world order in which the Chinese Communist Party is in charge. And when you look at the direct reference of the Thucydides trap, I think to sort of track the historical usage of the term, that was something that was mainly contained to like the most explicit and aggressive united front groups, right? The groups that were explicitly set up to sort of propagandize on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party here in the West, sort of the fake pseudo-intellectual academic backbone. I think maybe the 21st century version of this idea of, oh, let's let China enter the WTO because we have to, their economy is so great. You know, shout out to NVIDIA for selling away the future of the United States. I'm glad they get some, you know, fake spikes in their stock. But what exactly the Thucydides trap is, and this is something that we've, I think, really picked apart on this show, it sort of shrouds what is, I think, a very shoddy theory in a lot of pages, a lot of words, a lot of verbose text, a lot of history, a lot of euphemisms. They describe, you know, China's economic warfare as just geoeconomics. You know, China's just risen in the international world order because they're just better than the United States. No mention of, you know, the predatory lending, anything like that. But the author of the Thucydides trap, someone by the name of Graham Allen, he used to be the dean at Harvard Kennedy School. So that should give you a little insight into the type of diplomats that school is pumping out. But this is someone who is sure vaguely American, but you know, he is so bought and paid for by the Chinese Communist Party. I don't think he's ever had an original thought. It's the equivalent of academic treason. So I guess only fitting that he would be at Harvard. But this is someone who has, you know, repeatedly visited China. He has all this connectivity to these communist influence groups, the CAIFC, the CPA, FFC, QSEF. Put it this way, in 2024, when he went over to meet with the foreign minister, Xi Jinping, he also quietly met with Xi Jinping. So that should tell you all you need to know about this guy. But I think the important part and what really is both the falsehood of this theory, but the unfortunate, I think, lived reality and practical outcome of the acceptance of it among the American elite class is this idea that America is a declining power just by nature of the fact that China is a rising power and that it's inevitable. And they sort of, I think, strawman the argument by saying that, oh, well, people are saying that it's war that's inevitable. It's not necessarily war. If we, you know, continue to fuse our economies, it's the end of history. We'll all be good. But that's not, I think that's a complete strawman. The inevitability part that I pick an issue with is that America's decline is inevitable. America's decline is only possible by what can be seen as the picture of those so-called business leaders kowtowing, doing the new version, you know, for their lust for market access in the name of the new opening up, the new, you know, tributes in exchange for I don't know what. I don't think the American people see any upside of that. That is the inevitable part of it, right? American business leaders selling out to China. And I think you can't disentangle what went on in Beijing from the California mayor, from the, you know, New York police station that was somehow operating on behalf of the Chinese government. Make that make sense. They have whole scale bought up and sold out this country. And I guess my biggest critique to Xi Jinping would be, it's not MAGA that you could walk hand in hand with. It's the Democrat Party that you actively are walking hand in hand with. I think the last point I would say, just to more broadly contextualize this, is I think you've sort of seen a surge in what is Chinese rhetoric coming, whether it's from the media outlets, officials themselves, into the standing of America, right? They used to at least sort of lie to our faces and say, we're partners, we're going to do this together, which is still not totally accurate. They're our enemy. But a lot of analysis, even going back to under Biden, for example, there was a lot of analysis done about their official statements in 2025. This concept of American decline has doubled the use of that. They analyzed thousands of statements. They think, you know, Biden was more of a systemic threat than President Trump. They think he's really transactional. I don't think they quite understand Trump, or frankly, I think the Trump that you saw in Trump 1 is very different than the Trump that you saw now and how he is engaging with China. And I think, to me, the most unsettling part of all of this, and why I think it's sort of doomed for a repeat of whether it's ascension to WTO, including them in all these sort of, you know, weird globalist organizations, letting them into our stock markets, you name it. like at least the arguments that they made back then, they were lying to, kind of like the, WMD to Iraq, now Iran, you don't really get a justification, but they're not even really trying to explain it to us that it's actually a benefit. I mean, you can't make the case. It's just accept the 500,000 students, accept that China should buy more farmland. There's no inherent value to that. They're not students. They're spies. For the love of God, please stop using the term students. These people are military combatants. And even if they are students, I don't think we should be training the next generation of people that we might, we're certainly seeing on the economic information and cyber battlefield right now, but certainly not on the kinetic battlefield. So I would say, I think you said it best in one of your speeches at the new federal state of China, F she, and for saying that MAGA has anything in common with what he pushes there is absolutely a joke. MAGA has much more in common with the Taiwanese people. And the Thucydides trap, I guess kudos to the PRC for buying off so many Americans, but American decline does not have to be inevitable. It does when you have elites like the stupid business leaders that went over there.
Yeah. It was the reason President Trump came to power in 2015, 2016. The central thesis of the campaign was the managed decline of the United States of America by an elite that was manifested by Hillary Clinton, by the Clinton in the Democratic Party, but also the controlled opposition of the Republican Party. It was managed decline of the United States. This is why Trump, the pivot, the turnaround, even the construct was immense. Hang on for a second, Natalie. I want to get more to this. Constructive strategic stability. I told you, take your number 2 pencil out, write that one down. We're going to deconstruct it here in a moment with our own Natalie Winters. Short commercial break. Make sure to take your phone at Bannon 989898. You get access to Philip Patrick and the team immediately. If you're a new purchaser of physical gold, you can get up to a $10,000 rebate with a qualifying purchase. Philip Patrick and his team at Birch Gold have all the qualifications to walk you through. So check it out. Sam Tannenhouse, the magnificent author of the magnificent biography of Buckley, William F. Buckley, also join us in a moment.
Half protection is not enough. Using just an antivirus online is also not enough. Get better protection from online threats. Get NordVPN now.
This is Fubo. It's your way to watch ESPN and other top sports networks. Plus, get coverage of your local teams all year long. Start watching at FuboTV.com.
Everybody hates Beth. She eats all the food she loves and stays slim. Kim starves herself dieting, yet still can't lose weight. Beth is full of energy. Kim always feels tired. Beth has an unfair advantage. She takes Almacet, a breakthrough health and weight loss shake that optimizes your metabolism to help you lose weight in a whole new way.
I couldn't lose weight no matter how much I exercise. I tried Almacet. I lost 26 pounds.
The reason you're having trouble losing weight could be a liver clogged with fat that's slowing your metabolism, making it very difficult to lose weight and stubborn belly fat. Almacet is a scientifically proven food supplement that uses natural amino acids and bioactive peptides to help unclog your liver and optimize your metabolism, so it's easier to lose weight.
My name is Stephanie Phillips Solar, and I'm an Almacet success story. I was able to lose 67 pounds with Almacet in roughly 7 to 8 months.
My weight is down. I feel much more energetic than I have in the past.
Over the course of time, I lost a total of 25 pounds. So thank you, Almacet.
Almacet is all natural, supports healthy blood sugar levels, and it's diabetic friendly. Some weight loss plans have you feel weak and hungry, but Almacet will renew your energy, and you can lose weight and feel great.
Almacet's unique protein can truly absorb in your body and aid with weight loss.
Studies showed Almacet helps you lose double the weight compared to other diets.
The fact is, Almacet works, and I highly recommend it.
Go to Almacet.com now to get started for just $39.99. That's $4 a meal. We guarantee you can lose weight or you'll get your money back. Be like Beth and get the unfair weight loss advantage with Almacet.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
In 2019-2020, you had just gone from prep school to University of Chicago. You were working with Raheem at National Pulse and the War Room. You were one of the leaders in gain-of-function research to be able to pin Fauci and what they were doing, what he was doing. And you just had a CIA officer testify in front of Rand Paul the other day, talking about how Fauci came back later and covered his tracks, taken from the intelligence assessment that it was a lab leak from the military lab in Wuhan to in a bat cave down in southern China, which is ridiculous. This constructive strategic stability is just the warning of the Chinese Communist Party to the declining power. Let's be honest. Let's be blunt. They think we're a declining power. To the declining power, don't do anything stupid to unsettle stability because you will pay for it. How do we get off the topic, Natalie, of holding the Chinese Communist Party accountable for the reparations they've done for the bioweapon that they launched in the United States, ma'am?
I can't believe we're still talking about Fauci and he's not in prison. But that aside, I mean, I think there's probably no better example of the distorted relationship that we have with the PRC than that of the origins, lived experience, the pandemic of COVID, but then of course the fallout, right? Which is these euphemistic terms they would call increased scientific research, promoting strategic stability and international cooperation. As we found out, a bunch of U.S. tax dollars have gone to promote Chinese research by military entities in the field of chips, rare earths, all the industries that they are now seeking to dominate us. But when push comes to shove, when there's actually a crisis, a flashpoint, what did China do? Right? They hid all the evidence. Our intelligence communities seem to have worked hand in glove with them in doing that, because I'm sure there was probably a lot more than just a really happy-go-lucky NIAID grant going to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which even just from open source intelligence on their website, you can see had military researchers working there. And even if they didn't, there's no such thing as a Chinese scientific entity that is not part or functioning of their goal to militarize basically all of their society. Just look at their 5-year plans, look at the speeches that they've rolled out about high tech and science. But that's the point. It's all smoke and mirrors. And you know it better than anyone, right, Steve, with the skinny deal phase 1, they don't follow through on any of their promises. And I think the unfortunate point, and it's maybe a function of, 4-year terms versus thinking longer Shiism type, dynastic terms, is that we take small wins like, oh, they bought some soybeans, or, oh, we're going to set up this trade council, or, oh, maybe they'll release some samples to the WHO of COVID. And China is running circles around us, controlling the actual systems and outputs in which these negotiations occur. We focus on, short-term victories. They focus on long-term reshuffling the map. They'll give a little bit, they'll buy some soybeans, whatever, $1 billion is nothing to them, in exchange for what seems to be a complete restructuring, at least rhetorically, of American policy on Taiwan, a complete opening up, whether it's the H200 chips or any of this stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, the fact that we're not even talking about reparations for COVID, but we're granting them now what could only be described as doing immeasurably more damage than gain-of-function research, which is these advanced chips that they would have to waste billions, if not trillions of dollars to develop domestically. I mean, at least try to make them steal the technology through IP theft, at least make them put a little effort in, but we're just, handing it to them easily. It's absolutely wild. We did not learn our lessons from COVID, which was not just gain of function, it was biological warfare. If we are now handing them the technological capabilities to become even more of a lethal superpower, all the while increasing their rhetoric to become overtly hostile and essentially telling the United States that we are now second in command. Strategic stability is a complete, euphemism is too light a term. That's code for telling the United States China is in charge, Xi Jinping is in charge, and you're going to do what we say.
Natalie Winters, magnificent. Where do people go to get all your writing, your Substack, social media? Where do they go on this topic, ma'am?
Natalie G. Winters on all platforms. Check out the Substack. We'll have some China investigations coming out shortly having to do with Chinese researchers going into USDA laboratories, because that sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a great idea. Let's set up a board.
Strategic stability for you. Yeah.
There's stability. That's constructive. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. The great one of the greatest parts of the Buckley biography is about William F. Buckley as the fire-breathing anti-communist before even Nixon and before Ronald Reagan. Let's go. I think I got a clip from the other day. I was going off on this. I want to bring in Sam Tannenhouse. If you buy into constructive strategic stability, you've bought into their premise that they are a worthy and equal partner, and they are not a worthy and equal partner. They are a murderous dictatorship run by a group of thugs. How do I know that? I can see what they've done to our own beloved country. Unrestricted warfare. They came up with this in the 1990s. Why was that? Because remember, don't get the history wrong here. McCarthy had it right. Marshall and the group of communists in the State Department turned the country over to a group of bandits. And we abandoned the Chinese that have fought with us, and they were not perfect. Trust me, they're double dealing us all the time and stealing all the time. They were far from perfect. Sam Tannenhouse, this is when you talk about William F. Buckley, what gets lost, unless you read your biography, and particularly lost by the modern guys running the Buckley, the National Review and all that, is the fierce anti-communism of William F. Buckley. He was a very devout Catholic. He understood communism to its core, and he particularly understood the threat of what happened when we turned over China, our great ally in World War II, to Mao Zedong and the Chinese Communist Party. Sir.
Steve, after the president's trip to China, I went back, and my book is very long, but I wanted to go back. It's out in paperback now, and it will be in a few weeks. I wanted to refresh my memory of the famous Nixon Goes to China opening in 1971, because Bill Buckley was there. And at first he didn't want to go because he absolutely opposed the idea that the United States would recognize this regime, and this is, it's still Mao Zedong in his last years, as you say, an equal partner or humane civilization. And then he realized, no, he should go because he should report on what's going on. Nobody else is going to do it. So he was one of 3 columnists in the entire country who was invited to go with the president. There were President Nixon. There were, 2 big planes they sent over with very famous people, Walter Cronkite and Barbara Walters and Theodore White, who'd written about China. And Buckley was in the banquet hall in Beijing when he saw Nixon, this gigantic banquet hall. And Nixon is at the far end, seated at a table with Zhou Enlai and other Chinese leaders. Remember, Mao is sick and dying, and he's off in his own house. And Buckley, because he was a sailor, brought along high-powered lenses, binoculars, so he could see from a distance where nobody else could really see in the room. And there he is. He holds them up. I have this in the book, and he peers through the lenses, and he describes Nixon making the rounds of the table, greeting in this very obsequious way all these Chinese communists that Buckley had been convinced from a very early age were nothing but murderers. And he said, it became very famous, left and right, when Buckley said this. He said, watching Nixon in this room with Zhou Enlai and the Chinese Communist Party, he said it was like seeing the prosecutor in the Nuremberg trials go over and shake the hand of Joseph Goebbels. It was like the biggest betrayal. Why? No one ever said during the McCarthy years, which you know a lot about, and you and I are both interested in, no one ever said, who lost Russia? No one ever said who belongs to the Russia lobby, because we knew who they were. But we did say who lost China and who is part of a nationalist Chinese, anti-communist China lobby. And that was Buckley's.
I want to make sure, people get the history, is that the entire, everything in Hollywood, all of this, it really got revved up in the 50s. The whole rise of McCarthy was about who lost China. Who lost China? Theodore White was the guy at Time magazine that wrote the book, What Thunder Out of China. He was kind of he was one of those guys that was sucked into the romance of the agrarian populist that Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai were going to represent, which was basically a bald-faced lie.
And remember who called him out? Remember who called him out at Time magazine? It was Whittaker Chambers. Whittaker Chambers, the subject of my previous biography. He was the one at Time magazine who was in the Home Office, and Teddy White was a brilliant reporter. Everybody got this. He's a fantastic on-the-ground reporter, great narrative writer, right? But the cables come in, and Chambers goes to Henry Luce, the publisher of Time magazine, who'd also lived in China as a missionary when he was a kid, spoke Chinese. And Chambers said, they're not getting it right here. This is not an agrarian revolution. It's a communist takeover. And Chambers was absolutely reviled for that, as you know. And when he was pushed out of Time magazine during the notorious Hiss case, which you and I have discussed at great lengths, part of it did have to do with China. I'll add one other thing, Steve, you may remember from the book. When Bill Buckley got very close to Joe McCarthy, much closer.
I tell you what, hang on, Sam. I want to take a commercial break and give you plenty of runway for this, because I do not want to miss Sam Tannenhouse telling one of these great stories about William F. Buckley and Joe McCarthy. Going to take a short commercial break. The book, which this audience drove in hardcover, is now going to be out, I think, June 2nd in paperback. Short commercial break. Back in a moment.
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags are actually made overseas.
If there's one thing that deserves to be made here in America, it should start with the American flag.
At Allegiance, we do it differently. Flags 100% made in America by Americans with American materials.
Join our pledge to make the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to get your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
The media has sold us out. Our institutions are rotting, and the American family is under siege. I'm John Popola, CEO of Emergent Order Foundation, and we are fighting back. From Dad Saves America to bold, unapologetic content about faith, freedom, and fatherhood, we're telling the stories that the legacy media has abandoned. Join the mission. Scan the QR code or visit eof-rav.com to support media that fights for America.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner. We drink it, we bathe in it. Think water, think steam, think clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5.
It's an all-in-one product. I can use it throughout my entire house.
It's cleaning, it's sanitizing. There's no chemicals in it. It's just steam.
This is unbelievable. There is no more odor.
5 minutes, I'm done. Look at that, it's amazing.
If you're ready to step into an effective, economical, and eco-safe world of cleaning, look no further than the H2O X5. Using just the power of superheated water, the X5 Super Hot Steam cleans and kills up to 99% of germs, viruses, and bacteria. You could spend over $500 to purchase the products that the X5 5-in-1 Miracle replaces. But through this special TV offer, you won't spend $400, $300, or even $200. Order your H2O X5 steam cleaning system, a $500 value, for just 4 easy payments of $43. You'll get the X5 steam mop with microfiber pad, the carpet glider, the handheld scrubber, the window glass and mirror attachment, and the Garment and Upholstery bonnet. It's a complete 10-piece system, all this for just 4 easy payments of $43. But it gets even better. Order now and we'll upgrade your X5 package. We'll add a 6th mode with a dusting and polishing wand. Valued at over $30, this extra bonus attachment makes your H2O X5 the H2O X6. That means your 10-piece system becomes a 12-piece system at no extra cost to you. If after 30 days you're not absolutely delighted, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Don't wait. Now's your chance to own the X5 for just 4 easy payments, and we'll make the first payment for you. You get the X5 incredible 5-in-1 lightweight, powerful 12-piece steam cleaning system, a $500 value, all for just 3 easy payments of $43. This offer can't last forever, so call or click right now.
Okay, we're getting word that the 3 million or the 1 to 3 million, however you count it the last time, that this may be even bigger. Just absolutely incredible. Great job over there. And many of the folks that are associated with our prohibiting Sharia law Prop 10 in Texas are over there. Karen Sigmund's over there. Peter McIlvaney, Glenn Beck spoke. For Tommy Robinson, that team, just absolutely stunning. We'll try to do some aerial shots later. Sam Tannehouse, first things first, the book, which our audience loved, and I'm proud to say, I think, how many reprintings did you have in the hardback edition?
Well, it was reprinted 4 times after the initial printings. That's a total of 5 printings, but at least 2 of those came after you and I talked. At least 2 of them. It might even have been 3. Came after we had our conversations.
And the feedback, the feedback we got was amazing. So the book's coming out in paperback when?
In June 2nd. You can go on Amazon and order it now, or the hardcover's still there, the audio book, the Kindle, all the different platforms are there. You see all the reviews and all the best, end of year lists. We stopped counting them after a while. I told somebody, I think I wrote the only book that in the same week had a War Room podcast and the New Yorker magazine chose it as one of the 12 best nonfiction books of the year. I think I may be the only guy who can say that.
That you definitely the only guy who can do that.
Life is big. You can come at it from a lot of different ways. Do we want to talk about this Joe McCarthy story now?
Yeah. But here's the reason, because the other day in the opening or at the toast that night, Chairman Xi said, we're a 5,000-year-old civilization, and we want to, congratulate you on your 250th birthday, little kids. It was a shot across the bow. And I tell people, you can't understand today unless you really understand yesterday, and particularly the situation geopolitically, and particularly with China. We have a very special and unique relationship with China. To understand that, obviously, you got to go back to the Sun Yat-sen and all that, but really the World War II, Stilwell, what happened with the nationalists, the rise of communism, and essentially how we turned the country over to them, and what an impact that had. That was one of the biggest motive forces for what is the modern conservative movement, came out of William F. Buckley, this virulent anti-communism. Yes, limited government, all that became the 3-legged stool of President Reagan, but it was a virulent anti-communism driven by people like William F. Buckley. Sir, the floor is yours.
Well, what you remind me of, Steve, you mentioned it before, is that when Joe McCarthy made his famous speeches and did the hearings, a lot of it was about China. There was more on China than there was in the Soviet Union. We kind of knew who the Soviet Union was. China, as you say, we had a special relationship with. No one understood how we lost it. That was the verb that was used. How did we lose China? And State Department had put out a big white paper, 1,000 pages long, explaining how it happened. And then McCarthy and company said, well, maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe we've got people who are selling the country out. And that's debatable. You can go at it either way. But here's an interesting thing. So at the time when Joe McCarthy was being taken down right? So he rises in 1950 with the Korean War. Suddenly the arguments he's making are resonating with the public. Then, of course, the Senate comes after him. Media come after him. Buckley, listeners, viewers should know, the reason Bill Buckley started National Review, the old National Review in 1955, was because he thought the right had not made a persuasive, articulate, mass argument for Joe McCarthy. That's the basis of that magazine. So he hasn't started the magazine yet, but he's written a book defending McCarthy, explaining what he thinks the hearings are really about. And then McCarthy'd gotten sick. You know, he drank too much. He's in a hospital and he's in bad shape. Then they finally let him out. He goes back home and Buckley goes to see him. This was all new. No one ever knew this till Buckley told me this. He was summoned to Joe McCarthy's little house in Capitol Hill. Not a big, gorgeous one like you all have. I've been there. Small little house, Capitol Hill, where he lives with his wife, Jean McCarthy. And Buckley's there. He's been traveling all day. Buckley's only in his late 20s, you have to realize. He's already famous. And Buckley goes to his house, and McCarthy says, look, I need you to write a speech for me because I'm being called a kind of illiterate hatchet man, and I want a Bill Buckley-style speech that I can present on the floor of the Senate. So Buckley says, yeah, I can do that. I've got my typewriter. Buckley typed 100 words a minute, you know, back in the days when you couldn't make mistakes. It's not like the computers where we can flub everything. And Buckley's up there working, and suddenly he's exhausted. He's been crisscrossing the country, making the case for McCarthy. Now he's just about dead on his feet. Said, Joe, I have to go to sleep. McCarthy says, sure, go ahead, and we'll work out it in the morning. Well, then it seems like 15 minutes have gone by. There's a knock on Buckley's door. He's got to get up. He goes out. He sees McCarthy in his bathrobe, Steve, his bathrobe on the floor with a huge map of mainland China in front of him. So this is the guy, Joe McCarthy, who's supposed to be a total ignoramus, who's just calling people names. And Buckley sees McCarthy's got his finger, he's moving on the map. And Buckley said, what are you doing? And McCarthy said, well, I'm tracing the train routes to see how China, Red China, might invade Taiwan, and I'm so excited, I had to have you come out and see it. Buckley looks up at the clock. It's 1:30 in the morning. And he said, you son of a bitch, I'm supposed to be helping you write this speech, and you wake me up in the middle of the night to see this thing. And then Joe says, I got so excited, I had to show you. Next morning, Buckley gets up, they finish the speech. It's published in 5 full pages in the U.S. News and World Report.
Give me that one more time about the beginning of National Review, because I do believe some of the people at National Review forget their origins. And it wasn't that one of the reasons Buckley was attracted to him, or the principal reason, is that Joe McCarthy was the fiercest of the anti-communists, to the point of calling out what was happening inside the U.S. government, that we know when the Bannon files were released, the KGB files were released in the 1990s, not everything, but a lot of what Joe McCarthy was saying happened to be true.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things, and we've talked about this before, is the Catholicism, too. You know, that's where the most powerful anti-communist argument came, and we know why, because they were imprisoning priests or doing worse to the clergy in Eastern Europe. And Buckley once said, when he was in college, when he was at Yale, he said the persecution of the clergy by the communists in Central and Eastern Europe was the biggest disaster that had happened since the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany. So that's where you got this phrase, communazism, right? That the two were really kind of the same. So Buckley is really a dedicated anti-communist. A lot of people were anti-communist back then. The problem is they didn't always make the case in a way that your average person understood. So one of Buckley's colleagues, really brilliant man, some of your viewers will know him, James Burnham, big thinker, big writer. He was kind of the august theoretical presence at National Review. Buckley's gathering people around him when McCarthy's going down. He's trying to figure out, how do we get a foothold so we can control the debate? Everybody that sees that we enter it, we on the right enter it too left. Too late, because the left has taken it over. So the left has got a word like McCarthyism, and the right has to fight back against it, right? So they're traveling around, talking to people, figuring out what to do. James Burnham, very brilliant man, first in his class at Princeton, professor of philosophy at NYU in New York, advisor to the CIA early on, is traveling across the country, and he starts meeting very ordinary people. And they say things to him like, why don't we just kick the communists the hell out? What is all this other stuff we're doing? Why don't we just say who they are, why we have to get rid of them? And Buckley's mentor at Yale, another brilliant man named Wilmore Kendall, who was from Oklahoma. A lot of these guys are from the heartland. Burnham from Illinois, Kendall from Oklahoma. He says to Buckley, when McCarthy arises, because Buckley was still in college then when McCarthy made his first famous speech in Wheeling, West Virginia. Kendall said, look how he excites people. It doesn't matter if he gets the numbers and the facts wrong. He's on to the bigger truth. He knows what this country wants and how it works. And what it wants is a kind of flushing out of all of this stuff. And if you can't get a voice, a person the public will listen to, it'll never happen. And so Kendall kind of brought Buckley around, made him see McCarthy might be the guy. So Bill got very attached to him. And then later, during the hearings that brought McCarthy down, I mentioned before, Buckley saw they were powerless to stop it, that he could make the case as well as he might. He couldn't get into the mainstream press to do it. He could give speeches and lectures. He gave a speech in New York City. 1,000 people showed up. They had to bring them in by buses to hear him. The 28-year-old Buckley defending McCarthy. It was just totally unheard of to do this, except for the public. The public got it. So after that happened, Buckley and another one of his allies, a guy named Willy Schlamm, Austrian Jew, super anti-communist, very early on saw that Stalin was a danger, just like Hitler, said to Buckley, let's start a magazine. You've got the genius and the charisma to do it. I've got the experience. We'll bring people together. We'll start a magazine that will make the case for our side. That's 1955, just a little over 70 years ago.
Why should people, we got a couple of minutes, this book coming on paperback with all the pressures on people's time, what is the case for getting this paper? If you haven't gotten the hardback edition, what is the case for getting this book and reading this book this summer?
Well, William F. Buckley Jr. was the greatest conservative of the 20th century. The people you think of as giants, Ronald Reagan, Barry Goldwater, they were Buckley's pupils. Right? He has a great exchange with me I have in the book. Now people know it pretty well. When I said to him, how did you get to Goldwater and Reagan? And Buckley said, I didn't get to them. They came to me. Because he had the firepower, he had the arguments, he had the social cachet, the class. Yeah, he's a Catholic guy, but he's a rich guy. The Buckleys were often compared to the Kennedys, and that's a helpful way to understand them. They were the conservative Kennedys. Big family, beautiful-looking people, all go off to the Ivy League, family money that they've made on their own, with a mission to try to do something for the country. Buckley gave his life to try to lead a conservative revolution in this country. And I leave it up to readers to decide whether they think he succeeded. That's really what the book is about. So I just take you through the life, showed every step of the way. He was a wunderkind. He was a genius as an intellectual prodigy as a very young guy, making the case for Charles Lindbergh, his first political hero. And then all the way through, you go through McCarthy, I take you through Goldwater, take you through Reagan, all the way up through the disaster of the Iraq War. And you see Bill Buckley trying to guide, trying to shape, trying to create proteges and disciples, trying to build a movement from the inside out. And I just think it's a great life. It's a great American life.
What's the website and what's your social media? Where do people go?
Yeah, well, I don't do social media. I'm an old guy, but samtannenhouse.com is my website. Anybody can contact me through the email page there, and people do it because I hear from your readers, Steve. I get some very interesting suggestions and thoughts from your audience. So anybody who wants to write to me can. The book is available there, but it's mainly Amazon.
Sam Tannenhouse.
Half protection is not enough. Using just an antivirus online is also not enough. Get better protection from online threats. Get NordVPN now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. For 50 years, I've watched Washington betray the American people with dishonest money. Nixon's closure of the gold window made endless debt and war inevitable. Today, our middle class, our currency, and our economy are dying in real time. In my new book, Dispatches to Future Generations, I reveal how we got here, plus the solution, gold. And that's why I'm partnering with Birch Gold Group to give you a free copy of my book along with their free info kit on gold. Click below to get both right now. Inside the info kit, you'll learn how to move your IRA or 401k into physical gold. So click below to claim your free copy of my Dispatches to Future Generations and Birch Gold's info kit today.
January 7th of 2021, they said the MAGA movement was dead. We were told that this was never going to happen, that the Democrat Party was immovable. And what we witnessed on November the 5th, being this great comeback story, was also the result of the hard work that all of you guys did in the grassroots. For those of you that chased ballots, for those of you that registered voters, this is your victory. But it is only going to improve if we stay engaged in the grassroots, if we continue to knock on doors.
Turning Point PAC is fulfilling Charlie's dream by funding an army of ballot chasers to secure victory in November. Go to tprav.com to donate today and fund ballot chasers in this critical election.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today. War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Go to Amazon to get the paperback, and you'll get a reading experience like no other. It's really quite amazing. As you can tell, Sam knows how to tell a story. Or samtannenhouse.com. Go check it out today. The modern institutional Catholic Church, Ben Harnwell, has signed a secret deal with the Chinese Communist Party. We still don't know what it is. Your thoughts on, and how is it viewed from both Rome and Europe, President Trump's trip, how it played out, and particularly, I think President Trump would be the first to admit he really didn't get the backing of the CCP in this, trying to bring this Iran war. Truly, I mean, they gave some happy talk, but real backing to bring this war to an end. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, most of the European press was quite interested in the trip to Beijing before it took place, specifically on the fact that President Trump was taking all of these, America's most important businessmen, let's put it like that, donors, businessmen, call it what you will. That was what really captured the European interest before the trip. Midway through the trip and 24 hours after the trip, the coverage really moved away from that aspect of it and basically said that President Trump didn't really come out with very much at all. And there was a sort of bemusement as to why President Trump had in fact gone over, taking this massive delegation with him, presumably to try and generate some sort of foreign direct investment. And there's a certain perplexity, if I might put it like that, and you intimated this earlier on in the show, as to the whole thing from the MAGA perspective, as seen from the Europeans, the whole thing from the America First perspective, as understood by the Europeans, is that China is supposed to be this existential threat, and the main upshot of the president's visit there is one of normalization, so that the Europeans can't quite understand what are they supposed to think the Americans are thinking right now with regards to China. There's not a particularly firm narrative for them to understand, either to support it or to oppose it. It's the Europeans are thinking, well, we thought America really was looking at China as this existential threat, but there's no evidence of that from the messaging of President Trump's visit to China.
What about this Thucydides trap, where they're basically telling us to our face, you're the hegemon, but you're the declining power, we're the rising power, and constructive strategic stability essentially means don't do anything stupid as you decline, because that'll lead to a catastrophic war. Just be good boys and girls and let us take the lead, sir.
Well, I'd say to that, and this is sort of, Americans no strangers to this, on the world stage, on the international stage, when it comes to messaging, you're half messaging to the people you're talking to, and you're half messaging to your own domestic audience as well. And I think President Xi is making a signal there, as much as he is doing to President Trump and the Trump administration. He's signaling to his own people, look how far China has come in the last 25 years. Look at all, look how far this country has come. And from the Chinese perspective, America is the declining power. There are a number of metrics you can look at that. The unsustainable national debt would be one of them. A whole host of issues, the fentanyl crisis, the fact that America is burning through its military munitions right now. China's just sitting there looking and thinking, my God, we don't need to do anything to hit this declining power. They're going to do it all to themselves. So he's making that argument to his own people, because that reinforces his regime stability arguments in Beijing, that is to say, the CCP.
Ben Harnwell, where do they get your beady-eyed analysis over the weekend before you get you back here on Monday?
Thanks, Steve. Getter at Harnwell, my surname. All these provocations are on the top of my feed waiting for you. Thanks, Steve. God bless.
It's cynical, beady-eyed analysis, and we'll do something on the National Review on Monday. Ben Harnwell, myself.
Great. Perfect.
Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend. Tage, we got about 90 seconds. Tell us, where do we go for the best coffee ever made, sir?
You go to warpath.coffee, use promo code warroom. We're doing 20% off this weekend. We've got everything, dark roast, breakfast blend, medium roast. We got all kinds of flavors, espressos, but I just bumped the coupon code warroom up to 20% this weekend. Warpath.coffee, promo code warroom. And if you haven't tried it, try it. You can drink our coffee straight black. The way we roast it on a perforated drum, so we don't burn the beans at all. So that's why our coffee is so good, straight, black, and smooth. It's never bitter and never acidic. If you haven't tried it, try it.
18,000 five-star reviews from our compadres. Yeah. Is that correct? And they go. Where do they go to read? Where do they go to read that? It's not Steve Bannon and Tage tell them how great it is. 18,000 of your colleagues. Where do they go for that?
You go to warpath.coffee and then go on the reviews tab, and you'll see them. They're all 18,000 there. You can scroll through them all. It's pretty amazing. And we also have them on Amazon. So we have a lot of reviews out there. We have a huge customer return rate. People love our coffee. It's because you can just drink it straight black. You don't need milk. You don't need sugar. You don't have to hide the taste of burnt coffee.
20% off. And yes, that is Tage Gill without the beard. Cleanly shaven, I might add. Inspired me to shave this week. Thank you, Tage Gill. Let's go back to work making and selling the greatest coffee ever made. Warpath Coffee. 20% off. Don't miss that. Mike Lindell, how's the new factory? How's the new building, sir?
It is absolutely amazing, Stephen. That's why we're going to do 3 sales for the weekend, you guys. 3 sales colliding. The factory sale, but we're also going to have the Mega 2, the second annual Mega sale with our 4 flagship products, our Giza Dream Sheets, all the colors are in. We've got our My Pillow, the My Pillow standard pillow, $14.98. You have our towel sets is $34.98, lowest price in history, and then our mattress toppers, $99.98, and above the. Also, we have our mattress, Memorial Day mattress sale. Get on this, free shipping your whole order right to your front door. You save 50% on those mattresses, made in the USA, 6-month money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Go to mypillow.com, go down, click on Steve there, and there's all the sales that are colliding. You guys take advantage of the free shipping with promo code WARROOM, 800-873-1062, 873-1062. I'm heading to the biggest rally I've done so far as governor today, and the protesters are already there, everybody. So we'll see you Monday.
I'll be up on Getter all weekend. We'll see you back here at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time Monday morning.
Everybody hates Beth. She eats all the food she loves and stays slim. Kim starves herself dieting, yet still can't lose weight. Beth is full of energy. Kim always feels tired. Beth has an unfair advantage. She takes Almacet, a breakthrough health and weight loss shake that optimizes your metabolism to help you lose weight in a whole new way.
I couldn't lose weight no matter how much I exercise. I tried Almacet, and I lost 26 pounds.
The reason you're having trouble losing weight could be a liver clogged with fat that's slowing your metabolism, making it very difficult to lose weight and stubborn belly fat. Almacet is a scientifically proven food supplement that uses natural amino acids and bioactive peptides to help unclog your liver and optimize your metabolism so it's easier to lose weight.
My name is Stephanie Phillips Solar, and I'm an Almacet success story. I was able to lose 67 pounds with Almacet in roughly 7 to 8 months.
My weight is down. I feel much more energetic than I have in the past.
Over the course of time, I lost a total of 25 pounds. So thank you, Almacet.
Almacet is all natural, supports healthy blood sugar levels, and it's diabetic friendly. Some weight loss plans have you feel weak and hungry, but Almacet will renew your energy, and you can lose weight and feel great.
Almacet's unique protein can truly absorb in your body and aid with weight loss.
Studies showed Almacet helps you lose double the weight compared to other diets.
The fact is, Almacet works, and I highly recommend it.
Go to almacet.com now to get started for just $39.99. That's $4 a meal. We guarantee you can lose weight or you'll get your money back. Be like Beth and get the unfair weight loss advantage with Almacet.